Ma'am.
I'll let y'all put this down as this.
My name is Lieutenant Jake Durham. I'm a 20-year veteran of law enforcement. I've been 18 years with the Oxford Police Department. I started in this profession. This is what my dad, my grandfather, my uncle, most of us done on the Durham side was law enforcement. So it was a really easy transition for me to get into it because I grew up around it. So that's it's really all I knew when I got started into this was law enforcement. I'm currently with the Aviation unit here at the Oxford Police Department. I'm the commander of the unit. The unit was started in 2011. Since it was started, I've been the executive officer, the chief, I've been a patrolman, and then in June of 2022, I became full-time Aviation unit commander here at the police department. This is our secondary mission-capable aircraft. It's a 1969 OH-6. It was made by the Hughes Company. Back in the day, we actually got some historical information that this aircraft was assigned to the 1st Cav and flew in Vietnam. We picked the aircraft up and had it brought in, and a restoration was completed on it, which included paint, some interior work. We had some avionics done to it, brand new blades on the main rotor system. So far, it's been a fantastic helicopter. It's very inexpensive to operate. It has no hydraulics, just as the primary mission aircraft doesn't have any. So you feel every input that you make in this aircraft. You actually fly it from the time that you start the engine until you stop for the day. It's really fun to fly. They're very safe. Just the configuration of the aircraft alone, and I'll kind of show you the structural integrity of these aircraft. There's, obviously the keel and everything underneath, but there's an A-frame that this aircraft's built on. And that allows, in a situation where the aircraft does crash, this A-frame protects everything, because the aircraft's prone to roll and the other components are to dissipate from the aircraft because of that airframe, that A-frame the way it is. So it's equipped with, we'll go around on the other side. It's equipped with an 8500 FLIR system. We don't have a searchlight on this aircraft. We just don't have the room right now to put one, and we don't have another searchlight, but we do just fine with the 8500. It has a TFO station where we have the macro blue display up front. So the TFO will sit on this side of the aircraft. He'll manipulate the camera as needed, and he'll view everything that takes place on the macro blue screen up front. The differences between this aircraft and our primary mission bird is this is the first iteration of the 500 series aircraft, whereas our newest one is the latest, but the systems are essentially the same. This has got less horsepower than our 530F. It's got 4 rotor blades, whereas the other one has 5. It's got a little bit less power, but honestly, in my opinion, I think anybody who has any experience in the OH-6 finds them to be more fun to fly. They're just a great helicopter, and they were produced as a scout aircraft in Vietnam, so they're very capable of doing what we need them to do from a public safety perspective. Fantastic helicopters. They don't weigh a lot. They don't take a lot to maintain and to operate. Yeah, we just love them. I think it's really great for the city of Oxford and public safety in general that not only, are we getting to use this piece of equipment for public safety, but in personally, I like the fact that we're getting to preserve a piece of American military history, because this aircraft flew in Vietnam and it's still serving, the people of Alabama now from a public safety perspective. So, and I know a lot about these aircraft just because I'm interested in them, but I think that's my favorite thing about it, is just knowing that this aircraft did fly in Vietnam and we're still preserving that so it can provide missions today. The Department of Defense, Congress enacted this years ago that when the Department of Defense, this is just in its brief form where we're going to talk about the surplus program where we got these aircraft from. They've allowed the Department of Defense to release certain equipment to law enforcement agencies throughout the country, which I think is a fantastic program. Now, this is anything from boots all the way up to helicopters. So our first few aircraft we obtained through that surplus program, and it's run through the Department of Defense's Defense Logistics Agency, and they have an office within that agency called the Law Enforcement Support Office, or LESO. And all of this equipment that is available for law enforcement gets transferred to, or LESO gets notification about it, and then they send that out to us, like aircraft and those kind of things. So that's how we obtained our first few pieces of equipment, our aircraft, is through that LESO 1033 program. And it was a huge help, and there's so many agencies that have taken advantage of that throughout the country. It's a really good program, especially when you don't have the appropriations. Like when we started, we couldn't go buy an aircraft. So luckily we were able to get those through the LESO program, and it really helped us get to where we are now. And there's a lot of agencies that still use the LESO program for their aircraft, and we still have a LESO aircraft here. The OH-6 is a LESO aircraft. And I think it's just a phenomenal program. A lot of the Hueys that you see flying with public safety agencies, they got those through the LESO program. So yeah, that's been a blessing for us to have, LESO support public safety agencies throughout the country like they do, because we wouldn't be able to provide some of the services that we do without them. So to explain the differences between our newest aircraft, the 530, versus the OH-6, you'll have your horizontal, your vertical stabilizers. And we call this a V-tail, because when they were first designed, this was just a design that they came up with to keep us stable in flight. So everybody kind of understands what a weather vane is. On top of the barn, you see the old chicken with the weather vane gives north and south, that kind of stuff. That's essentially what these helicopters do when they get into forward flight. All that wind is gonna travel over the aircraft, and these stabilize the aircraft during flight. Now, throughout the years, the engineers at MD have came up with the T-tail design versus the V-tail. There's obviously differences in both characteristics, the way they fly, and different physics between both of them, but they serve their purpose to keep us stable in normal flight. They both do a great job. Of course, they don't make these anymore, so we've got a couple put in the back in case we have to replace them. So, but that's the differences between the two tails on these helicopters. We can move around and take a look at the pilot station and talk about that a little bit too. Anybody who's flown the 500 series, any pilot will tell you that they're very compact, and you essentially strap the aircraft on and go fly. I'm 6'3", 245, 250 pounds, and that's literally what I do every time I get in this aircraft. But this is my favorite helicopter. I'll get in and we'll kind of show you how I fit inside the helicopter and walk through a simple startup procedure on it. One of the main things I like about this helicopter is it's very simplistic, especially in its start. Prior to starting the helicopter, we're just making sure all of our switches are set. For example, our fuel's in, control frictions, those kind of things. Main battery comes on. We'll introduce fuel as we're starting the aircraft. Once the aircraft starts, we'll let everything stabilize, all of our temperatures and pressures. And then master generator, let everything stabilize again, and then roll it up, and we're good to go. It's a fun helicopter to fly. It's relatively easy to fly. There's nothing to it. I mean, you got to think these things are 50 years old, and a lot of the same systems that are on these aircraft are used on our current and latest iteration of the 500 series, the 530F. So they're proven helicopters, and they're great for public safety missions. So again, this is just my favorite helicopter. I like this little thing, so it's great. We also have a 6 degree of freedom, 6 DOF full motion simulator in-house. And that's great for us to have, because a lot of our TFOs, we encourage them to, want to become pilots one day. We give them the option if they want to. They, we'll facilitate that and we'll get them trained. But if they don't, of course, they don't have to. But that simulator allows not only the pilots, but now the TFOs to go in and start refining some of their control touch. I'll sit with them for hours, and we'll talk about, emergency procedures in the helicopter, or just standard hover and maneuvering and that kind of stuff. And we've got several TFOs that will, as long as I've got the thing on, they'll sit there and they'll fly for hours and hours and hours. And as an administrator, that's good for me, because I can really take inventory of my guys and say, okay, now I know who wants to be, a pilot, or who wants to do this, or who wants to do that. The whole reason we purchased this is so our guys can continuously have stick time in the aircraft. Even though it's a simulator, it correlates so well to the real aircraft. So our guys, especially Nick, over the past couple of months, he's been on this thing for hours and hours and hours. So it's a really good tool that allows them to gain as much stick time as possible before they get in that aircraft. And they're not going to damage the aircraft. Of course, we're going to crash the simulator, which is fine. So yeah, these guys, we use it for emergency simulation training, and like Nick's doing, he's honing his skills as an upcoming pilot with a unit. And this is where you start, right here in the simulator. And plus, if we're doing emergency procedures in the simulator, we're not going to crash a helicopter. We're not going to endanger personnel. So, I've got a $2.5 million piece of equipment that I'm not going to get up in and let, just anybody do auto rotations or anything in. But I can throw them in the simulator, and they can crash and bang that thing all they want to. And they can learn and save a bunch of money and save a bunch of lives by not messing anything up. So it's we've got a lot of good equipment at Aviation. And I think it's important that everybody understand that all of it kind of works together to make this thing work. It's not just we have pilots and we have helicopters. There's a lot more to it than that. We've got a lot of supporting equipment behind all of this. Now, just as an example, we talked about we can do our non-standard emergency procedures. So an example of that would be, you're flying along at 1,500 feet and you lose your engine. We can go ahead and simulate this inside this piece of equipment and save all of that wear and tear on the aircraft. So we'll go ahead and do that now, just to demonstrate what we're talking about.
Okay. Simulated engine failure.
Yep, we'll do a simulated engine failure. So right now, so Trevor is about 2,000 feet. We're going through a simulated engine failure now. You can see, even though this is a Huey aircraft, which we fly the 500 series, there's still a lot of similarities in terms of a rotation and kind of the muscle memory that goes into it, and paying attention to your instruments and airspeed and those kind of things. So it gives the pilot a really good opportunity to hone their skills in those type of situations, because the instruments and the airspeed and those kind of things are basically going to be the same. We want to keep a positive rate of rotor RPM, a certain airspeed, and our maneuvers at the bottom are essentially going to be the same as they would in any aircraft. It's really nice to have, of course, on that landing you exceeded the telemetry setting, so go ahead and hit start again.
This one down here?
Mm-hmm. So that's a good example. This particular landing was a little too hard, so the telemetry settings on the simulator, it exceeded those. So that allows us to go back in with a single push of a button and reset those versus having them in the aircraft where if we would have had a hard landing, we would have had to take the aircraft in for maintenance and spent thousands of dollars to potentially make a repair. So from personal experience, how important this piece of equipment is I spent a lot of time in early part of 2023. I had some medical conditions that prohibited me from being at work. So I was out of the aircraft for quite a while. So prior to getting back in the aircraft, I came in and I spent probably 20 hours on the simulator. And the correlation between the simulator and the control touch and getting inside the actual aircraft, it helped me transition back into the helicopter, no doubt. So, 20 hours of operation is going to be thousands of dollars. Aviation is all about proficiency, whether you're in maintenance or the pilot side or the TFO side where we're having to manipulate the controls of the mission equipment. So my proficiency level had definitely gone down, but I was able to build that back up to a comfortable state to when I got back in the aircraft, it wasn't all foreign to me again, if that makes sense. I mean, even though we've got plenty of time in the aircraft, but when you start losing that proficiency level, it's nice to have a tool where you can jump in and regain that if you need to.
To a suspicious person's call. Caller is not on scene. She said her 14-year-old daughter is home alone and there is a person knocking on the door and they have showed up several times. They want us to go check it out. So.
I'm a male subject, possibly in a white Toyota Camry. Looks like the bumper's duct taped on. Subject has showed up several times over the past few weeks.
735 copy. So we're gonna go check it out and see if we can't make contact and see what's up. Why just keep knocking on the door.
X-ray 1. Call it 6. This vehicle still 1023.
She was not 1023. She was going to call her daughter back.
10-4, thanks.
So, our helicopter's in the air now over the scene and is trying to look for the suspect and suspect vehicle. So if they make contact in the air, if they see the helicopter, if they see the vehicle and or the person from the air, they'll let us know and direct us to it, and we'll try to go make contact with them.
7-1039.
Alright, so he's making a traffic stop on that vehicle now. Try to catch back up here to him and get out with him. 735, code file 760.
10-4.
Are you good? On the front of the car. So.
There's not? Okay.
There's a light.
Hey, how's it going, man? Yes, sir. Do what now? Oh, no, sir. Everything's good. Just give me 1 second. Let me get with this other officer. Just hang out, okay? Where's he? Did you ask where he's coming from?
I asked him where y'all headed.
Code 4.
He said he's taking his kid to his grandmother's house. He just picked him up from his grandmother's house. One of those two.
Subject has 2 current agency FTA traffic, 1,040 cash. Also has an alias for traffic, 670 cash.
You got your seatbelt on, mate? I see you. Good deal. You ain't got no
Hey, buddy.
You ain't got no weapons or nothing like that on you. Let's step on back here. Just gonna make sure you don't have anything on you. You're okay with that, okay? You good with that? Yeah. Put your can of snuff there.
Yeah. Got a blue shag in that pocket.
What's in here? No reach?
Not like my cigarette papers.
Nothing like that? You just want cigarettes with you?
Yes, sir. That's my Google dip smoke.
Good, yeah. You're good. Hey, man. Let's turn on something. You said you were coming from where?
My science grandmother lives right up the road, right there, across from the other church. And 2 little trailers right there. Come up the other road, come down. I live right over here on Big Street.
Look, you ain't been knocking on no doors in the neighborhoods or nothing like that, have you?
No, sir. I just got off work.
I got you. You work at Express Oil?
Yes, sir.
The one here in town?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
What I want you to do is hang tight with my partner real quick, okay? I gotta go make a phone call real quick and I'll come back and talk to you about some stuff, okay?
How long you been working there?
Since January.
Since January? You like it?
Yeah, it's alright.
It's a job.
I'm a pit man, so I ain't really got to deal with too many people.
That's good.
Yeah, I just get dirty as hell.
It's a job, right?
Yeah, I turn up.
Yeah.
Got a new scar every week.
Yeah, that's how it goes when you work with your hands.
So is somebody saying I've been knocking on doors, or
Possibly. I don't know.
I can call my boss man if you want. Or
No,
just get
man.
off work.
No, you're good. You're good. It ain't no problem.
Hey, y'all know anything about the airplane that's been flying around here lately?
Which one?
It's like a gray, kind of like navy color, and I believe it's got an American flag on the back of it. Like it's just been flying and circling up that way.
Has it got big props on it? Is it a pretty big plane or pretty small?
It's a pretty big one.
Yeah, so C-130s come through a lot and they land at the Aniston Airport. They do a lot of training out here at the airport, so that's probably what it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they come through. They fly over my house all the time too.
I've been seeing it the past couple of days, and I was like, because it flies kind of low, and I'm
Right.
like, is he taking off or landing? And then he
They'll do.
back that way, and then he
Yeah,
disappears.
they do a bunch of training at the airport right here. So, as far as I know, nothing's going on.
Nah. Yes, sir, I do that.
1,040 cash, 670 cash. Okay. You got your son in your car. Yes, sir. We gotta get this taken care of. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So come see me tomorrow morning. If you got the money it's a cash bump. So if you got the money to bump out, we'll take care of that. Okay? Bring somebody with you that has it and stuff like that. Right now, we're gonna put it on real quick. Alright? As long as we can get taken care of. I want your son.
I'm supposed to go to court in like 2 weeks.
I got you, but apparently you're supposed to go to court before or fail to pay or something like that. That's why you have 2 months to wait. Okay. So I need, where you working at Express Oil where?
On 78.
78?
Right there
Yeah.
beside Lost Mix.
Yeah, beside Lost Mix.
Okay.
78 East.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's the one.
Yes.
He said 78 and I was like, 21, 20. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, we got
So here
2
on-
locations in
yeah.
Austin.
You put you a huge break here. Okay. I really appreciate it. Lots of people. So, being one. We're gonna head on. We gotta go take care of it. So, don't be driving this car. You can get your way over. We're about to head on. All right?
Thank you.
Have a great day. Make sure you come see me tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir.
So, go back to that house.
We'll go talk to her real quick.
I can
Yeah, that's fine. You got it?
Yeah, that's
All right. So that officer, he got probable cause to stop that vehicle, and we identified him. Whether he is the one that has been knocking on her door,
Individuals advised
we do not know,
1060.
but he is identified.
Table.
If something else comes up, then we do have a suspect. He ended up having a couple of warrants. We warned him about those and advised him to take care of them. We got a current address. If he chooses not to take care of those, we can come pick him. We can go pick him up.
So it's difficult to balance all the responsibilities that go into being the aviation unit commander and personal life, and then some other projects that I'm working with the police department and the city of Oxford. Early on in my career, I didn't understand the importance of that balance. But the later in life, I realized that I have to prioritize things, because this is, not to be too philosophical about it, but all of this is very temporary. And my family is extremely important to me. We have 5 kids. They range from 15 to 7. So I don't ever want to regret again not spending time with my kids when I had the opportunity. So that balance has shifted quite drastically over the years, where I was more oriented towards work and accomplishing the goals for aviation unit and the police department and all, but now that's kind of had to stop. So I do what I can while I'm at work. If I have to stay over, I will, which is quite often. Usually every week I'm working a little bit from home, or I'll stay over a little bit, but it's easier now because my primary focus is on my family. So the balance then versus now is not as difficult, because I understand what's really important.
It's a smile like Sunday, been a while, one day, you're that girl.